Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Judy Stevens. I serve as both your community life chair, and I'm up here this morning most specifically representing a liaison to the Unitarian Universalist Faith Action, New Jersey. I omitted to say my pronouns are she, her, and hers. The reason I bring out my position as liaison is because we are currently running, Faith Action is, under the auspices of the Reproductive Rights Task Force, a post-abortion kits creation endeavor. And we've had it going in our congregation for about 5 weeks now, but the response has been very, very light. And Nicole Schultz, who is our representative on the Reproductive Rights Task Force, and I have decided to postpone putting the kits together for another month to see whether we can't solicit some more interest. I think part of the reason is it was a very wordy notice in the e-blast and possibly confusing as well. I have endeavored to be around to answer questions during coffee hour, and unfortunately, there's just been one thing after another that I've been pulled away from being at the social action table. And again today, I will try to be there, but Nicole, unfortunately, is being very proactively conscious about not possibly bringing COVID into our midst and is home with a COVID-laden daughter after her first week of school. And Fran Mers, our coffee hour preparer, is also out today, so I'll be doing coffee hour rather than being around to answer questions. So my apologies. If you can catch me and have a question, please do. Otherwise, I hope that the next 3 or 4 Sundays I will be in there and can answer any questions. Thank you so much. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. This morning, we re-welcome guest pianist Ian Kanev, who was here with us last week, if you were privileged enough to hear that performance. I draw your attention to the back of the order of service for announcements, especially the one concerning the abortion care kits, as well as other information and service information for next week. For those on live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available in the YouTube service description box. After service, those gathered in person are welcome to visit with one another. Refreshments will be served in the community room. People of all ages are welcome to stay and visit with one another. If you are new to us, and I know we have several new people in the room this morning, which is wonderful, please do visit our website, uucmc.org, where you can sign up to get all the latest news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. Please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together. Welcome again to this place of love and hope.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano, he, him, his. It's the first day of autumn. And for millennia, people in the northern hemisphere have taken the moment of the autumnal equinox to celebrate, yes, but also to pause and to consider important subjects. It is also the first day of Banned Books Week 2024, so we will have Pat Hoppy and Angie Morfogan reflecting on what that means to them and what it could mean to us all. And it's still a month in which we consider our theme of invitation, leading us to call September Invite a Friend Month. So it's been great to see some new faces these past weeks. I invite you to join me this afternoon at Fisk Chapel AME in Fairhaven for a special worship service celebrating its 166th anniversary. It's a nice opportunity to be present for our neighbor congregation. I hope to do some things in community with Fisk this year, so meet me there if you have time this afternoon at 3. Thank you, Ian and Mom Teresa, for setting us up for hearing Brahms' Scherzo in E-flat minor, which he will intersperse throughout the service. Brahms was just 18 years old when he wrote the piece. It became sort of a calling card for the young man. Whenever he met or sought an invitation to meet other composers, Brahms would seal the introduction by sitting down and playing this piece. So we look forward to hearing more. I invite us into being together with intention, with our call to worship, with the word worship understood in its original meaning of a shaping concern for all that is of worth. Our call to worship this morning comes to us from the Reverend Lori Gorgas Laban, recently retired from the UU Fellowship of Beaufort, South Carolina. Pause. Balanced in the center between the longest and shortest days. Equinox. The wheel of the year turns and turns again. The air cools, days shorten, the sun seems to weaken, barely clearing the horizon after rising before beginning its descent. This is our opportunity now to pause, balanced, breathing in, breathing out, knowing this present moment. This present moment is all we're guaranteed. Like the sun moving toward the shortest day, each moment arises and is gone before we know it. This is the time to pause and consider as we enter the season of contemplation, of increasing darkness, of lying fallow, of dormancy. This is the season of letting go, of lightening burdens, of preparing for a long period of being still, going deep. Pause and consider. Binaries, light and dark, hot and cold, chaos and order. Neither extreme is inherently good or bad. It's all a matter of balance, of honoring the spectrum for which binaries mark the end points. Today, we mark the midpoint between summer and winter solstice, a time to seek balance and be free. Come, let us worship together. Each week, we light a flame in a chalice to signify the sacred space we create each time we gather. To light our chalice this morning, Sister Circle, a group of women who have been honoring the seasons and the cycles of the earth for over 30 years together. And the chalice lighting words will be shared with us by Iris Martin. Sister Circle, please.
Mabon, the autumn equinox, when the earth is poised on a pinpoint of balance, as light equals dark. Praise equal day and equal night, earth's return to balance. Now, at this time of equinox, Let us create the balance that we seek within ourselves. Let us give thanks for the abundance of the late summer harvest. Soon the earth will turn to the darker side, and longer nights will prevail. Let us be open to the darkening days to come as Mother Earth finds rest, and may we find the blessings of both dark and light. Blessed be.
Thank you, Iris. I invite us to rise in body and our spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 346 in our hymnals and on the screens. Come sing a song with me. One thing we do as a congregation is that we observe milestones, whether it's a birthday, a graduation, a coming of age, a bridging into adulthood, a wedding, a funeral, a baby dedication. This morning, I didn't want it to go unnoticed that our credentialed director of family ministry is celebrating not only her 20th anniversary of work as a religious educator, but also 15 years as our director here at UUCMC. We want to congratulate her, and it appears we are not the only ones to appreciate her work. This summer, the Metro New York chapter of the Liberal Religious Educators Association presented its 2024 Excellence in Religious Education Award for her outstanding contributions to the field of religious education to Michelle Mackenzie Preach. Yes.
Thank you.
Woohoo indeed.
Yes, thank you. So many of you know that Unitarian Universalism is a life-giving and life-saving faith, and it's my honor to be doing this for 20 years, and it's especially, I think, life-giving and life-saving for our children and youth. And that is why we're here today to do this covenant with our small group leaders, is our children and youth and those who have stepped up to volunteer with them this year. We gather as a confirmation to affirm our covenant with them. Family ministry and faith development is a shared responsibility that's woven into the fabric of this community. In our tradition of a free congregation, each member is called to serve. Our small group leaders have answered this call by dedicating themselves to our children and youth. And today we honor this shared ministry by reaffirming our collective promises and responsibilities. In the ancient ritual of laying on of the hands, we symbolically pass power of love and growth from one another, charging our leaders with the spirit that unites us all. The power we share emanates from this community, with the spirit flowing among us. These connections are what will sustain us, guiding us back to our purpose when we feel lost. I now invite our small group leaders to come forward and place a hand on the shoulder of the leader next to you. If you're a small group leader this year, come on forward, please. I also invite next the children, youth, and parents and any family ministry committee members that aren't teaching to join us and lay a hand upon the shoulder of someone next to them. And then finally, the whole congregation, I'd like you all, if you are able to stand and place a hand upon the shoulder of someone next to you until we are all connected, bound together in this shared purpose.
And now, with this spirit running through us, to and from us, we are joined in that interdependent web of life and love in our shared ministry. We are empowered again to be witnesses to love and justice in this world. We empower these leaders to share their hearts and what they know about living a full and faith-filled life. May their ministry be a blessing to us all. May you each be reminded of our deepening connections and the power that lies in these relationships. If the day arrives when you feel adrift or unsure of what comes next, I urge you to remember the feeling of these hands upon your shoulders. Remember, you are still connected in this ministry. Remember that you are not alone. This whole congregation is beside you. Whatever challenges we may face, they will be better met together. With honesty and openness, with the support of a loving hand, love will transform us, hold us up, and keep us moving forward. May this blessing carry you into a bold adventure of shared small group ministry, and may our worlds see peace and know joy. May they be transformed because of it. And amen.
Take this power, connection, and blessing with you as you go off to your small groups. May our group leaders and children feel our blessing as we sing Go Now in Peace.
Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation and to social justice partners through the good works of organizations which receive half of the monies collected each month. In months with 5 Sundays, the minister designates a recipient for the entire plate on one Sunday. Today, a runner-up in our Share the Plate voting, Mercy Center in Asbury Park. Mercy Center's vision to alleviate generational poverty, providing services in a culturally sensitive manner to empower people to reach their full potential by providing immediate and comprehensive services, enrich the lives of those in its services by offering opportunities to develop skills to maintain emotional, economic, and physical well-being, and educate children so that the cycle of generational poverty can be broken one child, one family at a time. For those of you present here in the meeting house, the plates will be passed by the ushers. You may also join this time of generosity via text, send your offering by mail, or charge your contributions online with a memo designating an amount to Mercy Center. Please give generously.
Good morning. My name is Pat Hoppy. You'll forgive the frog in my throat, I hope. My pronouns are she and her, and a little background about me that might give credence to what I'm going to say. I was a public high school and community college and university teacher for 38 years in Virginia. I came here 5 years ago and found my lovely UU community, Back in Virginia, we had several parents and several students who wanted to ban books. I'm going to give you a couple of examples about how and why that happens. But before I do that, I just want to make sure that you know you have the power to help school boards and parents and teachers, and I'd like for you to take that power and write postcards, write letters to the editor, speak at school board meetings, take me with you. If you don't want to speak, I'll speak to any board you'd like for me to. I think that it's within our power to get the books that we want our children to read to be read. I have seen Lord of the Flies banned. That was a book that I taught nearly every year of my career because its main theme is rule of law. We need the rule of law, don't we? So another one was Huck Finn, And many people do not have enough education to realize that Huck Finn, written by our friend Twain, is satire. Many people do not know what satire is. It's the attempt to make fun of a behavior so as to get the person to look at his behavior and change his behavior. So all of Twain's books are in this category. People misunderstand when they read Huckleberry Finn that the N word is not meant to be pejorative. It's there because Twain is making fun of people who are prejudiced and who are biased. So we need a lot of education, don't we? Just to understand how to read. And I don't know how we force people to get that kind of education. I just talk and talk and talk, as you can tell. The other example I have about how people become confused is, it happened about 25 years ago in an Episcopal church. I was Episcopalian for 35 years, by the way, and UU is my home for 20 years. So during the time I was Episcopalian, I was in church listening to my beloved minister speak. I don't even remember the topic of his talk that morning, but I heard him say that Shakespeare was cynical and a nihilist and was depressed and just a person who had no inner spirit, because he wrote the words, "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, and signifying nothing." I nearly stood up in my seat and yelled at him, "No, no, that's not right." But decorum kept me from doing that. What he didn't understand, and what all of us understand because we are well educated about Macbeth and many other works of literature, is that that was spoken by a character who had killed his best friend, Banquo. He has killed the wife and the children of another friend. He had killed so many people in his quest for fame, glory, and power. His wife had just committed suicide, and he knew that Macduff was coming for him. So that's why he said this: "Life is a tale told by an idiot." So my minister, much beloved as he was wrong. And when I spoke to him about it, I did it very gently, but I let him know that we have to differentiate between the author, who is here, manipulating all the characters who are here, and the author is like a puppet master. So the theme of that wonderful play, Macbeth, was about power. Shakespeare was trying to teach James I about how to be a good king. So you see, there are lots of reasons for people to misunderstand. What it boils down to is education, and what it boils down to is that we have to do our job, don't we? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Angie Morfogan, and my pronouns are she and her. Book bans have been increasing nationally. According to PEN America, for the 2023-2024 school year, nationally, book bans and book challenges have tripled over the prior year to over 10,000. Book bans and challenges have come to New Jersey and to Monmouth County. So what can we do to dispel the images of firefighters burning books, as in Bradbury's 451, Fahrenheit 451? As Casey Meehan, the Freedom to Read director, wrote in PEN America, quote, this banned book week, demands that we join together to turn the page on book banning by saying no more. The rising generation of students are being robbed of books that can nurture and guide them in their formative years simply because a misguided movement has caught the ear of politicians eager to gin up culture wars. Enough is enough, end quote. In 2023 and again in January 2024, Assembly and state Democrats issued a bill in New Jersey, the Freedom to Read Act, to provide guidelines for school boards for handling book challenges and to protect librarians and teachers from harassment. In 2024, the State Assembly passed the bill. However, the bill died in the State Senate Education Committee. Hopefully, Senator Zwicker will reintroduce the bill to the State Senate for a third time. In response to these attacks on freedom of expression and individual rights, public libraries and cities are declaring themselves book sanctuaries. A book sanctuary is a library or other space which has decided to protect the right to read by offering access to a variety of literature, including books that are often banned. Book sanctuaries do the following. They collect and protect endangered books. They make these books broadly accessible. They host book talks and events and dedicate other events on the history of book banning and burning. As of August 28, 2024, there are 34 book sanctuary municipalities and libraries in New Jersey. Joan Serpico, the director of Morristown Public Library, recently became a book sanctuary, stated libraries have always traditionally supported the freedom for their patrons to read what they want and not to let individuals influence other people's rights or infringe upon their rights, end quote. Books have been challenged and successfully banned locally. Holmdel High School removed The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie in response to a complaint by one parent. The school board did not follow any formal challenge procedure. When asked about the removal by the press, the school board administration didn't provide an explanation. They stated that they replaced a book with another more suitable for Holmdel students. Last year, Martha Hickson faced her third book challenge as librarian in the North Andover Hunterton High School. While she did not give in to the book challenges, she has experienced harassment, including being called a pornographer and being accused of grooming high school students. She was also shunned by teachers in the very school in which she was a librarian. How many librarians and teachers choose to self-censor to avoid a difficult path or criticism from administration or peers? I'm grateful for the book sanctuary movement to prevent individuals from censoring books. Most of the challenged books contain sexual, LGBTQIA+, or racial content. If teenagers and if all of us do not read about such issues, how can we learn compassion? How do we feel if we do not see ourselves reflected in books? What does that say about our perceived worth? When the ability to read broadly and critically is in danger of being curtailed at school libraries, the public libraries have stepped up and become book sanctuaries. The Monmouth County Library System is celebrating Banned Book Week with a free Zoom presentation by the County Library on Tuesday, September 24th at 6:30 about banned books. If interested, you may register on the library's website. Also, if interested, you may find resources at the website of PEN America and bannedbooksweek.org. Thank you.
As this morning of the autumnal equinox came near, people, as in days of old, began to gather at key locations around the world, places where human ingenuity has created architectural holding places to celebrate our unity with nature and with the traveling path of the sun's rising. Sacred sites, from the Puebloan Casa Rinconada in New Mexico and the Mayan temple of Chichen Itza in Mexico, to the ancient monuments of Loughcrew in Ireland. You see, although we say that the sun rises in the east, the reality is that the exact placement of the sun's rising varies across a wide expanse of the horizon from the extreme ends of the two solstices of summer and winter. Only twice a year does the sun rise due east, and that happens at the two equinoxes of spring and autumn. This time of year, as the Earth's northern hemisphere turns from summer to autumn, we have moved from what was the longest day of the summer solstice to a parity of day and night at the equinox. Day and night are exactly balanced, with the plane of the equator passing through the center of the sun. And the surety of this cycle, combined with the human ability to note and plan and build, has resulted in amazing structures that celebrate what were thought to be auspicious occasions, the equinoxes, those times of 50-50 night and day, where there is a knowledge that things will be different, where we pass from one period to another, leaning into a new cycle, into new possibilities. In Cambodia, at Angkor Wat, the largest set of religious structures in the world, the entire 400-plus acre complex has been engineered to align with the rising of the sun at the equinox. Of course, the actual place of the sun's rising is at the horizon, but the builders of Angkor Wat wanted to celebrate not only this precision, but their own ability to align their ingenuity with that calibration. For as the sun rises, it does so in an arc. The planners and builders realized that by the time it would be visible at the apex of a monument meant to celebrate it, the sun would be 5 degrees off due east. They therefore set the entire complex 5 degrees askew, allowing for the amazing spectacle of the sun appearing to emerge from behind the central temple's tower and balance on its tip. It is a breathtaking display of human know-how combined with a reverence for the cosmos. The builders of the oldest structure, still extant in the world, are lost to prehistory, but their massive stonework still enchants. In November, my partner Ron and I had the immense privilege to visit the over 5,000-year-old Nidra Temple on the island of Malta, pictured on the screens. The south building at Nidra has a particular astronomical alignment. In September, during the autumn equinox, the rays of the rising sun pass directly through the main doorway, straight down the central axis. The main corridor of the South Temple is fully bathed in the warm and fire-like illumination of the rising sun and reaches the inmost central apse. This illumination is so precise that the temple builders must not only have had an advanced technical and constructional skill, but also a knowledge of horizon astronomy, especially of the sun's movements. In early human days, and truthfully well into the modern era, the autumnal equinox presented a last frontier of sorts. The first harvest of grain was in early August on the Feast of Lammas. Then in late September came the second and final harvest: grapes, squash, apples, seeds, eggplant. A feast day known today as Mabon, after the Welsh god Mabon, son of the Earth Mother goddess. With winter coming, and the earth beginning its cessation of yield, at Mabon time the food supply prospects could be estimated, and often, surely, the amount storable came up short. Decisions would have to be made. How many of the livestock would have to be slaughtered and frozen? Would there be enough food for all to make it through the cold months? The equinox was a time of pause, therefore, for contemplation, for thankfulness, for spending time with loved ones, and for planning. People would gather for what many knew would be their last such celebration. Thank you, Angie and Pat, for reminding us during Banned Books Week that just as in the days of old, our precious resources will not automatically be available to us. There are forces at work that would deprive us of precious sustenance, the essential food of knowledge of one another. There is work to be done today as ever at this time of turning toward the harder days ahead. Today, of course, for many, autumn is a time of beauty, of leaves turning, and perhaps of some ideas for change. The Jewish High Holy Days are around the corner. They also represent a time for consideration, for doing things differently, for forgiveness, for reconciliation. Really, ever since humans became humans, with an ability to plan and adjust to seasonal imperatives, they made sacred those times of the year associated with cyclical change. And by extension, with the realization that humans are uniquely able to affect change in their lives, often in tandem with communities of accountability. I remember when my first niece was born on the night of the harvest moon. When my parents called into the hospital, they sang to her, you may join along with me, shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. Well, and now we have that birthday to symbolize a great change in our lives as a family. I'm sure each of us has things that come to mind this time of year. New school years, new congregational years, the exchanging of the clothing in the closets with the things from storage, perhaps canning, pickling. I suggest that in our consideration of our monthly theme of invitation, that Mabon, that the equinox, is an invitation to us all, an invitation to renewal and change. What are the changes you've been meaning to accomplish, maybe for a long time? My basement comes to mind, and my garage. Maybe this year will be the year. Why not tackle some of them now, I say to myself, while there lingers some light in the evenings, and while some warmth still ekes out of the days growing shorter and shorter. In mythological terms, as many will know, autumn is a compromise made between the earth mother goddess Demeter and the god of the underworld Hades. See, when Hades came out of a crack in the ground and snatched away Demeter's daughter Persephone, stealing her away to the depths, Demeter's sadness caused everything to wither and die on the earth's surface. Persephone, meanwhile, finds a sense of purpose in Hades' world but longs for her mother. She knows that if she eats much while she is in Hades, she will be doomed to stay in the underworld forever. So as she looks into his eyes, she selects just 6 pomegranate seeds to chew upon, signaling a shared agreement that beginning at Mabon, for half the year she will be in Hades, but for the other half, she will return to the earth's surface. Hades agrees, and at what has become the spring equinox, Persephone returns to Demeter, and everything bursts back into bloom of spring. And the sun returns to its glory in the firmament. I invite us to reconsider the majesty of the skies, for there we tap into a shared understanding with humanity's past. We needn't necessarily fear the winter, but right now may well be a time of invitation to each of us to consider changes we can make in the ways we live. I often think about the ancient peoples when I look up at the sky at night, and then I realize how much light pollution of various kinds has deprived us of the brilliance that those peoples once gazed upon. In July, Ron and I prepared ourselves for our final day in New Zealand, a country of magnificent natural beauty. We were informed by the front desk of the charming inn where we were staying in the far north of the country that due to some electrical work needed, all power in the region would be cut for 2 hours beginning at 11 p.m. that night. Well, having finished our final dinner, we retired to our room and remembered about the power outage. We quickly readied ourselves for bed as the lights went out everywhere in the world that we could perceive from our seaside windows. And then stepping out onto the balcony, we looked up, and what we saw blew our minds. I grabbed my phone and aimed it up. Suddenly, it was as if we had been transported to an ancient world, and the reality of gods and goddesses and mythologies seemed quite logical responses to the awesome sight of the night sky. May we take the time to receive the universe's invitation to each of us this season. Mabon is an invitation to renewal, to a recovery of a lost sense of wonder, to a realignment with the cycles of nature, and to a renewed sense of connection with loved ones and fellow travelers in this life. May it be so for us all. Isn't that unbelievable? I'm going to leave it up, I think, for our time of prayer and meditation with these words from the Reverend Carrie Mueller, if we just make ourselves comfortable. Carrie Mueller, longtime member of MLUC, Mainline Unitarian Church in Pennsylvania, where our family ministry director, Michelle, served before coming here. Spirit of life, we are joined today in a moment of gratitude for a perfect fall day, for a last blaze of sunshine in a sapphire sky, before the rain and snow, for gold and crimson leaves before we are mired in piles of slush, for the moment of peace and contemplation in which to appreciate this rare beauty. This moment of perfection sharpens our love for an imperfect world. We are reminded of the many people in the world who are burdened by hunger and pain, by sorrow and anxiety, by violence and loss. We pause this morning to share our concern and care for the people of Ukraine, for the people of Gaza, for all the people of Israel, Palestine, and the surrounding region. May they find comfort and peace, and may their burdens be lifted. Closer to home, we think of those in our congregation who are suffering or sorrowing. May they too find comfort and peace, and may their burdens be lightened. May we find it in ourselves today to work toward a better world. We are energized by the beauty of the day. May we make use of that energy to take part in the lifting of burdens. May our gratitude find expression in the care of others, both near and far. May we find ways to bless the world. And amen. And now I invite us to rise in body and our spirit to sing our closing hymn. It's a musical setting of a poem by 19th century Quaker poet and anti-slavery advocate John Greenleaf Whittier. It's number 70 in the hymnal and on the screens. Heap high the farmer's wintry hoard. Say that 3 times quickly. Ian will play through the melody once for us before we begin to sing.
Thank you.
now with autumn's moonlit eyes, its harvest time has come. We pluck away the frosted leaves and bear the treasure home. You may be seated. Burton D. Carley has served for 31 years as minister to the First Unitarian Church of Memphis, Tennessee, the Church of the River. He also served for 10 years on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our closing words of benediction are his, after which I invite us to listen to the conclusion of Brahms' Scherzo in E-flat minor. These words of benediction. I do not know if the seasons remember their history, or if the days and nights by which we count time remember their own passing. I do not know if the oak tree remembers its planting, or if the pine remembers its slow climb toward sun and stars. I do not know if the squirrel remembers last fall's gathering, or if the blue jay remembers the meaning of snow. I do not know if the air remembers September, or if the night remembers the moon. I do not know if the earth remembers the flowers from last spring, or if the evergreen remembers that it shall stay so. Perhaps that is the reason for our births, to be the memory for creation. Perhaps salvation is something very different than anyone ever expected. Perhaps this will be the only question we will have to answer. What can you tell me about September? Our thanks to Ian. Thanks to Ian Kanev, and now let us go in peace to bless the world.